What's up, everybody? It's your boy Joshua Freeman, and welcome back to Joshua vs. Movies in Depth, where I go more in depth with the rating I give to movies. Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones enters the ring this week as it came out in 2002. The genre of the movie is action adventure, while the visuals and the stunts represent how well the visual effects and the CGI looks throughout the movie. If you guys want to see my initial reaction to this movie, it will be at the end of the video. But I think we're all set, so without further ado, let's go in depth. Starting with the action adventure, right off the back, it ends up being better than episode 1. The movie provides more thrilling action throughout the film, as there's more action in this movie than there is in episode 1. The action scene with Obi-Wan going against Jango Fett is good, and the same goes for the final fight between Count Dooku, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Yoda. But when it comes to the adventure part in the movie, it ends up being on par with the last movie. The adventure of Obi-Wan finding out about the clone army on planet Kamino isn't bad. It's just the only reason he discovered everything was because Jango Fett hired a bounty hunter to do his job for him.
My client is getting impatient. Take these. Be careful, they're very poisonous.
I mean, if Jango Fett would have done it himself, maybe then Obi-Wan and Anakin could have chased him and then captured him without even going to Kamino.
And who hired you?
It was a bounty hunter called.
Also, the adventure of Anakin and Padme falling for each other doesn't turn out to be that thrilling, and it's mainly because of the dialogue.
I'm haunted by the kiss that you should never have given me. My heart is beating, hoping that that kiss will not become a scar.
But overall, the action adventure ends up being better than the last movie, and it's because the action part boosts the score. So with that, the movie earns a 0.4 out of 0.5 for action adventure. Next, when it comes to the visuals and the stunts, they end up being better than the last movie also. The visual effects look good throughout the movie as George Lucas continues to do well showing off different alien settings and creatures in the Star Wars franchise. The visuals and the stunts aren't great though, as there's still moments throughout the movie where it looks like obvious green screen in the background. From the scene with Anakin riding to find his moms, to Obi-Wan on Kamino looking at the clones, to Obi-Wan talking to Yoda about Anakin's mission. So with that, the movie earns a 0.4 out of 0.5 for visuals and stunts. And when it comes to the directing by George Lucas, it too is an upgrade from the last movie, even if it is a small one. Lucas continues to incorporate some good shots in the movie, such as the whole fight scene between Obi-Wan and Jango Fett. But throughout the film, there's still numerous shots where the background looks completely artificial. But overall, the directing does still end up being above average. So with that, the movie earns a 0.6 out of 1.0 for directing. The actors in the acting is next, as they don't end up being bad in the movie. Overall, the characters in episode 2 end up being on par with the ones in episode 1. But not due to a character being included that is not needed, but mainly because of the acting that comes along with the dialogue. Ewan McGregor continues to be great as Obi-Wan.
You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
But the dialogue Hayden Christensen has to work with as Anakin hinders the acting because it's that bad. It also seems like George Lucas forces some moments with Anakin getting angry.
I'm ready for the trials, but he feels that I'm too unpredictable. He doesn't understand. It's not fair. It's all Obi-Wan's fault. He's jealous. He's holding me back.
Natalie Portman isn't bad though as Padme, and Christopher Lee is good as Count Dooku.
As you see, my Jedi powers are far beyond yours.
Also, Samuel Jackson having a slightly bigger role as Windu is nice as well. So overall, the only thing that hinders the actors in the acting is the performance by Hayden Christensen, and is due to the dialogue given by George Lucas. So with that, the movie earns a 0.9 out of 1.0 for actors and acting. And when it comes to the plot and the story, this is another category that ends up being slightly better than the last movie. There's less moving parts in this movie, which helps the movie not create as many plot conveniences, and the plot and story of this movie is less coincidental. In this movie, the plot and story does well with Obi-Wan and the Jedi Council discovering the clone army and the bounty hunter Jango Fett. The movie also doesn't do bad with bringing Anakin closer to the dark side with his mom dying. While also getting closer to Padme. What hinders the plot and the story, though, is certain plot conveniences that allow for the movie to continue. First, just like its predecessor, Episode 2 still fails to explain the power of the Force compared to a Sith and the other creatures in the galaxy. I mean, all the movie really does is give the audience hints that the dark side clouds the Force.
No, that's not possible. The Jedi would be aware of it.
The dark side of the Force has clouded their vision, my friend.
The dark side clouds everything. Impossible to see. The future is.
But never really explains why. I mean, if this movie or the franchise would have made it clear from the beginning, the powers in this movie would make more sense compared to each other. The second thing that hinders the plot in the story is Obi-Wan surviving a chase with Jango Fett. I mean, you would think as a bounty hunter, Jango Fett would make easy work of Obi-Wan, after he gets the drop on him. Fire! But instead, Obi-Wan avoids it and follows Jango Fett. But even if I was to forgive that, after following Jango Fett to the planet, Obi-Wan just stumbles upon Count Dooku talking about his plan to the other evil guys in the galaxy. And because of this, he's able to alert the council, which leads them to come help during the Genoshan Coliseum scene.
This party's over.
Also, during that same scene, Count Dooku and the Genoshans decided to have monsters kill Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme instead of just doing it themselves and getting it over with. Especially when you have a bounty hunter who, specializes in that.
Jango! Finish her off!
Patience, Viceroy, patience, you will die.
So overall, the plot and story proves to be above average, thanks to the discovery of Jango Fett and the clone army, while Anakin moves closer to the dark side.
And I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them.
But overall, there are still a few plot conveniences. So with that, the movie earns a 0.6 out of 1.0 for plot and story. And lastly, when it comes to the score, just like episode 1, it ends up being the best thing about the movie. John Williams continues to incorporate an iconic score that's felt throughout the movie, and even does well including parts of the Darth Vader theme in the movie, specifically when Anakin shows signs of the dark side.
I hate them.
So with that, the movie earns a 0.2 out of 0.2 for score. Okay, so if the editing of the movie remains a 0.3 out of 0.3, we have all the numbers. So let's see where it fits on the scale. So the movie ends up with a 3.4 out of 4.5, and that gives it a B++ rating. So there you guys have it. That's my movie review of Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. In all, the movie ends up being an upgrade for Episode 1. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, and also let me know which movie I'm going to go in depth with next. But until then, this is Joshua Freeman. This has been Joshua vs. Movies in Depth. I'm going to see you guys in the next match.